It is the 25th of April 2025. Good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1, live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Joad Abdin.
And I'm Rochelle Tavondera. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
President calls Indian Prime Minister Modi, condemns Kashmir terror attack. US-Sri Lanka tariff talks progressing towards bilateral trade agreement. IMF reaches staff-level agreement on fourth review under the extended fund facility with Sri Lanka. Ranil to return to office of president in August, says UNP. Sajid will be president by December, says SJB. Ranil to appear before bribery commission on Monday over Chamara Sampath case. Mathura magistrate orders Attorney General to file contempt papers in Court of Appeal against Deshabandhu Tennakon. Siri Dalada Vandana ends on the 27th April. Will not be extended. Statement from Dear Vadana Nilame. Sri Lanka declares National Day of Mourning tomorrow for Pope's funeral.
And on to those stories in detail. In your top story this evening, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres called on India and Pakistan to exercise maximum restraint to prevent further deterioration of the tense situation in the subcontinent after a terrorist attack in Kashmir. This was announced by his spokesperson Stephen Dujarric.
He has not had any direct contact, but I can tell he's obviously following the situation very closely and with very great concern. We were very clear in our condemnation of the terror attack that occurred in Jammu and Kashmir on the 22nd, 2 days ago, which killed a large number of civilians. But we very much appeal to both the governments of Pakistan and the government of India to exercise maximum restraint and to ensure that this situation and the developments we've seen do not deteriorate any further. Any issues between Pakistan and India, we believe can be and should be resolved peacefully through meaningful mutual engagement.
During the past 24 hours, the talk of the town was the situation happening between India and Pakistan. The deadly attack on Kashmir has moved India and Pakistan closer to war as the two rivals downgraded diplomatic and trade ties, closed the main border and crossing, and revoked visas for each other's nationals. Amid the strong diplomatic decisions taken by India yesterday, India deployed its most modern aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant, into the Arabian Sea toward Pakistani waters. This move reflects a broader strategic posture aimed at power projection and regional rebalancing. Furthermore, top Lashkar-e-Taiba Commander Altaf Lalli was gunned down during Indian Army's raid in Bandipora. The operation was launched by security forces after intelligence reports indicated the presence of terrorists in the area. A massive gunfight broke out as terrorists opened fire on security forces. Last Tuesday evening, India directly blamed Pakistan for the attack carried out by 4 armed terrorists in the popular tourist destination of Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir. What India is telling is that Pakistan is nurturing and supporting these terrorists.
The house of Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists believed to be involved in the Pahalgam attack were destroyed in Jammu and Kashmir. Security forces were carrying out research operations at the residences of 2 Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists, Adil Hussain Thokar and Asif Sheikh, when explosives already planted inside the houses detonated. Top Lashkar-e-Taiba commander Altaf Lalli has also been killed in the security forces encounter in Bandipora. Meanwhile, Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi arrived in Kashmir today to review the situation in the wake of the Pahalgam attack earlier this week. Rajya Sabha MP Kapil Sibal has urged Prime Minister Narendra Modi to call a special session of Parliament and pass a resolution condemning the Pahalgam terror attack and conveying the message to the world that the country is united.
Following the death of 26 Indian nationals in Tuesday's attack, Amit Shah, the current Home Minister and former President of the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, immediately visited the site of the attack. Today, he informed all state chief ministers to identify and immediately deport any Pakistanis residing in their respective states. India has given Pakistanis currently residing in the country a 48-hour deadline to leave. At present, the borders of Jammu and Kashmir have been sealed and trade relations between the two countries have also been suspended. Pakistan's defense minister made a statement today regarding India's response, and this is what he had to say.
In an interview with Al Jazeera, Pakistan's Defence Minister Khawaja Asif rejected Indian allegations linking Pakistan to the Kashmir attack, calling it a homegrown resistance in occupied territory.
I strongly refute the allegations leveled by the Indian government. We have absolutely no connection with this is some sort of homegrown resistance movement in occupied Kashmir. You know, Kashmir is occupied by Indians against the will of the people over there and against the resolutions of United Nations way back in 1948. So this is something which is simmering for almost 76 years. There are for lulls of 6 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then the protests and other violence erupts again. So this is something which is very normal. Accusing Pakistan for that won't solve the problem. That you have to solve the problem of Kashmir according to the UN resolutions. That is all. It will solve everything. The terrorism and unrest and everything will be solved.
He dismissed claims connecting Pakistan's army chief to the attack as baseless, while reiterating Kashmir's status as Pakistan's jugular vein. The minister accused India of possible false flag operations and highlighted nuclear risks, urging global intervention.
Let me, remind everybody that what General Asim Munir said in that convention about 4 or 5 days or 6 days back were the words of our founder of our nation, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He said that Kashmir is like the jugular vein of our body of Pakistan, body of this state. So he repeated those words. He reminded the words of Muhammad Ali Jinnah to the gathering over there. That is one. And secondly, we have never abdicated the claim we have on Kashmir, which is validated by the United Nations resolution, which is still not implemented. Over the last 76, 77 years, we have fought 3 wars over Kashmir. So that is a burning issue, and I think the world community must pay some attention to this very, very dangerous dispute and standoff in the subcontinent, which can flare up, God forbid, into a nuclear confrontation also, because both the countries are nuclear powers. But this blame game from Modi himself was responsible for massacre of 2,200 Muslims in his native state of Gujarat when he was CM over there, chief minister over there. And he was banned from entering America. His visa was refused. He was declared international pariah because of his connections with the massacre in Gujarat.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said India will punish every terrorist and their backers following the attack in Kashmir. PM Modi has promised retribution in his first public comments since the attack. He said, quote-unquote, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers, and we will pursue them to the ends of the earth. He also added that the quote-unquote terrorists behind the killings along with their backers will get a punishment bigger than they can imagine.
President Andhra Kumara Dissanayake spoke with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the phone this morning. During the call, the president strongly condemned the terrorist attack in Indian-administered Kashmir, which killed 26 people. The conversation lasted about 15 minutes.
President Andhra Kumara Dissanayake expressed his deep shock over the attack and stressed that Sri Lanka shares a strong bond of friendship with India. He condemned terrorism in all forms wherever it occurs in the world. The president offered condolences on behalf of the Sri Lankan government and people to the victims and their families. He also wished a quick recovery to the injured. The president said that Sri Lanka hopes the current tensions will ease soon and that regional peace will be restored.
Sri Lanka and the United States have agreed to continue the discussions with the objective of finalizing a bilateral trade agreement between the two countries. Issuing a statement, the President's media division said both sides expressed the desire to finalize the agreement in the shortest possible time period.
A Sri Lankan delegation met with the U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador Jamieson Greer on the 22nd of April 2025 at the U.S. Trade Representative Office in Washington, D.C. Sri Lanka delegation, on the instructions of President Andrukumara Dissanayake, who is also the Minister of Finance, handed over the originals of communications addressed to U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador Greer on behalf of the government of Sri Lanka. The delegation briefed Ambassador Greer on the challenges that Sri Lanka has faced in the past and the steps that are being taken by the government of Sri Lanka to overcome future challenges and move towards full economic recovery. The Sri Lankan delegation highlighted the prompt and positive commitment of the government of Sri Lanka to work with the US government in reducing the trade deficit and lowering tariff and non-tariff barriers. Ambassador Greer was appreciative of the proposals that Sri Lanka has made in order to commence negotiations and expressed the hope that an agreement can be reached soon between two countries to ensure fair and equitable trade relations. Later on the day, the Sri Lankan delegation met with the U.S. Trade Representative delegation appointed by Ambassador Greer, led by Assistant United States Trade Representative in charge of South and Central Asia, Brendan Leach, along with Director in charge of South Asia, Emily Ashby, to discuss further the offer made in writing by Sri Lanka to the US. The two sides agreed to continue the discussions with the objective of finalizing a bilateral trade agreement between the two countries. Both sides expressed the desire to finalize the agreement in the shortest possible time period. The Office of the U.S. Trade Representative is responsible for developing and coordinating U.S. international trade, commodity and direct investment policy and overseeing negotiations with other countries.
President Andrukumara Dissanayake addressed the current economic situation this afternoon in Anuradhapura.
අපි සැලකිය යුතු ප්‍රමාණයකින් මේ වෙනකොට අපි ආර්ථික ස්ථාවරභාවය හදලා තියෙනවා.
We need to establish economic stability, and we have already achieved a significant level of economic stabilization. When the economy was unstable, it fluctuated constantly, but now the economy is stable. For the past 6 months, we have kept the dollar exchange rate within a limit of 300. When the economy falters, providing goods and services becomes unfeasible. However, we are ensuring economic stability. Interest rates, which had soared to 35 to 40%, are now being maintained below 10%. We have managed to keep inflation at a significantly low level. As a result, the economy is stable. The Japanese and Chinese governments are resuming their projects. It is now crucial for us to take the next step by strengthening our public sector, which is currently weak. Our public sector had collapsed with many vacancies in key posts. The government has decided to recruit 30,000 new employees into the public service. How are we recruiting? By placing advertisements in newspapers and offering rewards to those who score the highest marks. Filling positions with unsuitable candidates instead of qualified ones led to the collapse. We have increased the basic salaries of public servants. A teacher's salary is now 63,000, a doctor's salary was 53,000, and we have raised it to 83,000 rupees. A strong public sector is needed to rebuild this country. We have already begun this process. We have allocated 3.3 billion rupees to increase salaries, and we are working to generate funds and distribute them to people. A strong public service is necessary for the development of the country. In June, a new subsidy will be provided to 400,000 new families. We are looking into this for every citizen. Our goal is to free rural people from poverty and provide them with opportunities in education. We are reforming the education system. Starting in January 2026, the curriculum will be revised. A new syllabus will be introduced for grade 6, designed to avoid burdening parents. We will provide shoes for children in schools with fewer than 300 students. China has agreed to provide uniforms, and we will distribute them. For those who cannot afford school books, we will give you 6,000 rupees to help purchase them, with a total allocation of 1.6 million rupees. Additionally, we are increasing the Mahapula scholarship. Our focus is on improving education. Just 3 weeks ago, we decided to provide sanitary products to all female students. We're also overhauling the transportation system. The current buses are more like trucks, not suitable for public use. We are working to reduce the cost of public transport for citizens. A significant portion of the budget has been allocated to healthcare, ensuring there will be no shortages of medicine or supplies. Delays in the system have been due to tender issues, but we are addressing these promptly. The funding is not the issue. The problem lies in the system itself. For example, we are addressing the Anuradhapura General Hospital's sanitation issues with 75 million rupees allocated for repairs. This year, we expect to obtain the highest revenue for the Treasury. We are cutting unnecessary expenditures and eliminating certain policies that were previously upheld through laws and gazette notifications. We are abolishing the pension scheme for ministers and ending allowances for phones and fuel. As politicians, we are giving up the privileges we've received and redirecting all resources to benefit the public. We are transforming the government, and it's crucial that we strengthen provincial governance as well.
ජපන් රජය චීන රජය තමන් ආරම්භ කරපු ව්‍යාපෘති සියල්ල යලි ආරම්භ කරන්න එකඟතාවය පළ කරලා තියෙනවා.
The International Monetary Fund has reached the staff-level agreement on the 4th review under the Extended Fund Facility with Sri Lanka. Once the review is approved by the IMF Executive Board, Sri Lanka will have access to about $344 million in financing. The IMF staff and the Sri Lankan authorities today reached the staff-level agreement on economic policies to conclude the 4th review of Sri Lanka's reform program supported by the IMF's Extended Fund Facility. The IMF said that once the review is approved by the IMF Executive Board, Sri Lanka will have access to about $344 million in financing. It added that Sri Lanka's program performance remains strong overall, while noting that economic growth is rebounding. The IMF also said that Sri Lanka's revenue mobilization, reserve accumulation and structural reforms are advancing as envisaged. It added that the country's debt restructuring is nearly complete, and importantly, the government remains committed to program objectives. However, global trade policy uncertainty poses significant downside risks to Sri Lanka's economy. If these materialize, authorities and staff will work together to assess the impact and formulate policy responses within the contours of the IMF-supported program.
As hopes begin to rise about the economy and Sri Lanka's place in international affairs, the political scene back home is anything but calm. On one side, former Minister Rajatha Senaratne is confident that Ranil Wickremesinghe will become president by August.
On the other hand, Kabir Hashim claims that Sajith Premadasa will take over by December. These bold predictions come right after failed efforts to unite the UNP and SJB, two parties that were once exploring an alliance but are now facing internal issues of their own.
So who's saying what, and where does this leave both parties and the country?
Speaking at Sirikota on Monday, Rajatha Senaratne expressed these views.
When this country was at rock bottom, Sajith said he couldn't take over. Now he wants us to hand things over to him so they can fix it. But the truth is, the worst may still be ahead. The election isn't today, it's on the 6th of May. And as more results roll in, this government is only going to fall further. We'll likely head to the polls by August. And by the end of the year, they won't be able to hold on any longer. The economy is crumbling. And when people start remembering who actually knows how to rebuild it, it won't be Gota or Anura or Sajith. It'll be Ranil. That's why the only real solution left is to make Ranil Wickremesinghe president. This isn't something that'll take years. It's just a matter of months.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament Kabir Hashim said at a meeting yesterday that by December, Sajith Premadasa, the leader of the opposition, will become the president of Sri Lanka.
I promise that by December, Sajith will also become the president. I'm saying it will come naturally. We don't need to take it. It will just happen. When they couldn't do it, they even looked to give it to Gota. When Gota was about to give it, our leader was a bit late to take it, and what happened? Ranil snaked in. This time they won't give it like that. This time we're also waiting. Even now he is ready, shoes polished and all, ready for it to fall tomorrow. But we won't let that happen this time. We need to take it and change this country. We can do that.
Member of Parliament Kabir Hashim made such a statement yesterday while being right in the middle of discussions to form an alliance between the UNP and the SJB. This was revealed by a recent statement made by former Member of Parliament and UNP General Secretary Thalatha Korala.
Since August, I've been engaged in efforts to bring things back together. I told the leader, let's try to unite this. After all, there are UNP members on both sides. He listened to us. Ranjit Maddama Bandara from the Samak Jana Balawega met with him. Kabir Hashim also met with him. He gave us the opportunity to explore ways to move forward and even appointed representatives. Vijay Vardhana was one of them. We held discussions at our house trying to find common ground, but for some reason those efforts eventually fell apart.
MP Ravi Karunanayake, who was appointed from the national list of the New Democratic Front, is currently the senior member of the United National Party in Parliament. Today he revealed that two individuals within the United National Party are destroying the party.
The United National Party has been public about it, but I have been informed that I have not been informed about coming to meetings. This is the issue of those two individuals. All the others are making requests personally and have gone and spoken at such meetings. But officially, as a United National Party member, I have not been invited to any meetings at all. So on one hand, they are trying to show something, and on the other hand, they are carrying out a lie. We tell the entire public that they need to be accountable for the result of this small election. After that, I think we will get an answer on how all of us, including Naveen, Ruwan, Harin, Thalatha, Manusha and Akila will work together.
Saman Ratnapriya responded to Member of Parliament Ravi Karunanayake from the United National Party today.
That's something that needs to be asked from Ravi. It's according to Ravi that these two are being talked about. There are issues within the parties. But look, at this time we entered discussions with SJB very positively. Then, finally, when it became difficult with two teams from both sides, the leadership came together and discussed and made a decision. Our president went there, but Sajith Premadasa did not come.
What's being said by Samaki Jana Balawega and the United National Party? What are the developments with these two parties? Minister Samantha Widyarathna made a statement regarding this matter today.
I think this shift in the public is not clear to the UNP or Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, but I believe it is clear to you all. Generally, about 6 or 7 years ago, there were many political parties. This happened because when several factions struggled to find the right path, each began to split off, believing their own way was the best. But once the public began to realize which paths were mistaken and which was truly right, they started to unite behind the correct direction. So the votes we didn't receive in the presidential election, we received in the general election. No matter what dreams the Rajapaksas, Premadasas or Vikramasinghes may entertain, this government will not be unseated at this time. I saw just yesterday or the day before that the party which was once united has now split in two. The UNP says one thing and Rajita is saying that by this coming August or December, Ranil will once again be the president of this country. Kabir Hashim is now saying that by December, Sajith will be the president. So between the two of them, who's actually going to become president? A dream president. That's why even though Gotabaya let go of this crown and it ended up on Ranil's head from the gutter, we want to make it clear to both Sajith and Ranil. We didn't take this crown to place it back on either of their heads. We took it to hand it over to the people. What needs to be told to Kabir, Rajita, Sajith and Ranil is this. I truly believe that within their lifetime, they will never again see power, because from here on out, it will be the new generation of the Malimawa that will govern this country after us, and we are happy to remind them of that.
Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe has been notified to appear before the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption on the 28th of April. The Commission has issued this notice following two previous notifications, in response to which Ranil Wickremesinghe failed to appear before the Commission.
The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery and corruption today summoned former President Ranil Wickremesinghe to clarify the details of a statement he made regarding the investigation into Chamara Sampath Dasanayake, the former Chief Minister of Owa Province. This is the second occasion on which the former president has been summoned. In response to the summons, Mr. Wickremesinghe recently stated that his lawyer is currently overseas and that he will provide clarification before the Commission once his lawyer returns.
I am not discussing those matters regarding Minister Chamara Sampath here, as it is not my concern. My lawyer is still overseas, and once he returns, we will set a date and proceed.
The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery and corruption issued a statement this afternoon stating that a letter submitted by Ranil Wickremesinghe's lawyer has requested him to appear before the Commission on the 28th of April. Accordingly, the Commission has informed Wickremesinghe today to appear before it at 9:30 a.m. on that day. The Commission emphasized in the letter that if he fails to appear without a valid reason, action will be taken under Section 126 of the law. Meanwhile, Namal Rajapaksa, the national organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna and Member of Parliament, visited the Badula prison today and met with Member of Parliament Chamara Sampath Dasanayake, who is currently in remand custody.
The local government election Sri Lanka 2025.
With only 10 days left until the local government election, the political buzz is louder than ever. This is before the ballot.
Before the ballot.
6 months have passed, no work has been done, only lies. They're trying to win through insults, mockery and threats. Now they've even threatened not to give funds to the provincial councils. Vote for the compass? Who's asking for the votes for the compass? Even the villagers don't know who they are. They're asking what has been done. They're trying to paint this as a government of lies. Should I list the lies they told? They said that if we came to power, there would be no Pereharas. Did that happen? They said the economy would collapse. They said we would be gone in 4 or 5 months. All of it was false. If Mahinda wants to learn, if Ranil wants to learn, they can. That is why we are now implementing a significant amount of work across the country. On one hand, we have stabilized the economy. On the other, we've made many changes in political culture. This country wasn't destroyed by anything else, but by decades of rotten politics. What has been done over the past 76 years is like trying to fill a pot full of holes with water. Are government employees happy now? Are the farmers happy? Are the fishermen happy? These are the questions we must ask. In the past, when attending TV programs, we had to carry stacks of files. Now, we don't have to. There are enough issues coming at us from all sides. So I say to you, those representing the compass, who once talked about creating a heaven on earth, those who spoke of turning this into a divine land, those who deceived farmers, students, workers, youth, university graduates and public servants, those gentlemen are now silent. The government took office just 5 months ago. We were entrusted with 60 months. Only 5 have passed. 55 remain. But even with these 5 or 6 months, they've realized they cannot win another election in Sri Lanka. The National People's Power is showing them that clearly. By the time these 55 months are over, we will have created a country where every citizen, Sinhala, Tamil, Muslim, Burgher, Malay, can live together in peace and happiness. That's why their old tactics won't work anymore.
A municipal council or any local government institution isn't just a place to build bridges and culverts. It is an institution responsible for our lives, from birth to death, even including burial grounds. We know who has been in charge of these councils and who has provided political leadership for so long. We also know the system they are used to. That's why even today, officials in those institutions are stuck in old habits.
The Alpitia
Pradesh Sabha was taken over in December last year. The current government has had enough time, ample opportunity to prove what they claim about how a local council should be run. A JVP member holds the chairmanship there. So what has the Alpitia Pradesh Sabha achieved under JVP leadership? No justice has been delivered. If the national leadership and 2/3 of the power already belong to the National People's Power, then what is the point of giving power to anyone else? It must be made clear that local power should also be given to the NPP if we are to develop villages effectively. There is no sense in dividing it. Political parties have already conceded victory to us. Reports say that in the local government elections, councils across the country are being swept and the compass is winning.
Before the ballot.
Newsfirst with the people.
IGP Deshabandhu Tennakon has been found guilty of contempt of court by Mathura Magistrate Aruna Buddhadasa today. The magistrate emphasized that his court does not have the legal authority to take action in this regard and instructed the Attorney General to take steps to file a case against Tennakon in the Court of Appeal. More details on this story will be available on our social media platforms.
On to more stories. Dear Vadana Nilame, Pradeep Nilanga Dala confirmed that the Siri Dalada Vandanava will conclude on the 27th and will not be extended.
වාමසේ දංෂ්ඨා ධාතුන් වහන්සේ දේශීය වශයෙන්ොත් විදේශීය වශයෙන්ොත්
The sacred tooth relic was visited by many devotees, both local and foreign. Before the commencement of this pilgrimage, the opportunity for devotees to offer their worship daily has already become a fortunate reality, surpassing our initial plans. Due to the daily influx of devotees, there is currently a shortage of space for offering worship. With such a large number of devotees staying in the area, we have encountered challenges in providing adequate environmental and health safety facilities. In particular, His Excellency the President, who paid special attention to this matter, personally visited Kandy and had discussions with the most revered monks and with us. Together, we considered the best interests of the public and decided to conclude the exposition as initially planned, with the final day being the 27th April.
අප්‍රේල් 27 වනදා දක්වා පමණක් පැවැත්වීමට තීරණය කරනු ලැබුවා.
As the Siri Dalada Vandana, or the veneration of the sacred tooth relic, began at 11 a.m., a group of devotees who had arrived in Kandy over the past few days were given the opportunity to pay homage today.
දවස් 3යි අපි දැන් ඇවිල්ලා අපි මොන රාගල දුඹ ගහවිලා දැන් ආවේ ජීවමාන බුදු පියාණන් වහන්සේට මම අද නමස්කාර කරගත්ත කියලා පුදුම සතුටක් ඇති වුණා. පුදුම වාසනාව. සතුට කඳුළු පෙරේලාලේ මට ඔක්කොට වැඩි සතුටුයි මම මැරෙන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා මේගොල්ලන්ට පිළිලපු එක. පුදුම ශ්‍රී දලදා සමිඳුන් වහන්සේ වන්දනමාන කරගන්න ලැබිච්ච වටිනාම අවස්ථාවක්.
Soldiers from the Abhimansala Wellness Resort who were injured in combat also had the opportunity to venerate the sacred tooth relic today. Today, the veneration of the sacred tooth relic concluded at 5:30 p.m. Authorities had requested yesterday that the public refrain from coming to Kandy until further notice, as large crowds had already gathered along the access roads for several days, exceeding the facilities available to accommodate them. Security forces, government and private institutions and volunteer organizations continue to offer arms and essential services to devotees today.
අපි කාන්තරෙන් ගිහලා දවස් 3ක් විතර වෙනවා. ඇත්තම ලැබුණ අවස්ථාව ගැන සතුටුයි. ඉතින් ඇත්තටම දුර්ලභ අවස්ථාවක්. අපි ඇත්තටම බුදුන් දකින්න යන ගමනක් මේක.
මාතරින් දැන් ඇවිත් මේ 3 වෙනි දවස. ඉතින් ගොඩාක්ම සතුටුයි ඇත්තට ගොඩාක් පිං.
A massive crowd arrived in Kandy for the veneration of the sacred tooth relic, and various parties stepped in to support them. The results of these efforts were visible today. A comprehensive waste collection and environmental cleanup campaign was carried out throughout the day, with participation from the Clean Sri Lanka program, the University of Peradeniya, Kandy municipal bodies, private institutions, volunteer groups, and Gamadha V Force.
ආරාධනා කරනවා අපි පුළුවන් නම් හැකි අයුරින් ඔබ සියලු දෙනා මේ අපේ කටයුත්ත සඳහා ඒකරාශී වෙන ලෙස
අපිට ගොඩක් ස්වච්ඡ සංවිධාන මේකත් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒ සහයෝගය අපිට මේ වෙලාවේ ඉතාමත්ම අවශ්‍ය සහයෝගයක්.
අතන මම හිතන්නේ ඉතාමත්ම හොඳ වැදගත් කාර්යයක් මේ සිරස මාධ්‍ය විද්‍යාලයේ කරන කටයුත්ත විශේෂයෙන්ම සිරස ගම්මැද්ද වීපෝස් එකතු වෙලා හේතුව තමයි අද දින වෙන විට මහනුවර නගරයේ විශාල කැලිකසල් ප්‍රමාණයක් එකතු වෙලා තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, President Anurakumara Dissanayake arrived in Kandy last night to assess the conditions and facilities available for devotees. The President held a special discussion at the Kandy President's house and issued directives on the next steps. Attending the meeting were Minister K.D. Lalkantha, Devadana Nilame Pradeep Nilangadalla, Acting Inspector General of Police Priyantha Veerasurya, commanders of the Tri-Forces, the Governor and the Kandy District Secretary. This morning, the President once again inspected the ongoing veneration of the sacred tooth relic. He also visited the most venerable Tibbatuave Sri Sumangala Thera, Chief Prelate of the Malwathu chapter of the Siam sect, and the most venerable Varakhagoda Sri Jnanaratana Thera, Chief Prelate of the Askiri chapter of the Siam sect, for discussions related to the event and other religious matters. The President also met with Venerable Urulevate Dhammakirti Thera, a member of the Executive Council of the Askiri chapter, who is responsible for overseeing rituals associated with the sacred tooth relic.
Pope Francis, who died on Monday morning at the age of 88, will be laid to rest tomorrow in Rome. The Sri Lankan government has also decided to declare tomorrow a national day of mourning. The Minister of Public Administration has instructed all heads of state institutions to lower the national flag to half-mast on this day as a mark of respect.
The funeral of Pope Francis will be held in St. Peter's Square in Rome. The outdoor service, which will be led by Cardinal Giovanni, the Dean of the College of Cardinals, is expected to be attended by dignitaries from 170 foreign delegations, as well as tens of thousands of ordinary people wanting to pay their respects. In the run-up to Pope Francis's funeral, tens of thousands lined up to pay their respects to the Pope as his body lay in state in an open wooden coffin in St. Peter's Basilica from Wednesday morning. By this morning, more than 130,000 people had filed past the coffin. US President Donald Trump will be in Rome for the funeral, accompanied by his wife Melania. Others expected to attend include the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Emmanuel Macron, the President of France, Volodymyr Zelensky, the President of Ukraine, Sergio Mattarella and Giorgia Meloni, the President and Prime Minister of Italy, and representing the UK, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, and Prince William. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, Opposition Leader Sajid Premadasa, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe and former Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena expressed their condolences for the passing of Pope Francis at the Holy See office in Colombo. Minister of Foreign Affairs Vijitha Herath will represent the government of Sri Lanka at the funeral of His Holiness Pope Francis.
A group consisting of scouts and cadets from St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia, embarked on the three-peak challenge from the 22nd to the 24th April 2025.
The three-peak challenge, which comprises summiting the three tallest peaks in Sri Lanka, namely Pidurutalagala, Kirigalpotta and Totupolakanda in 3 consecutive days, was accomplished for the first time by a school in Sri Lanka. The group, comprising scouts and cadets from St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia, reached the final summit on the 24th of April at 9:02 a.m. This adventure has been organized in keeping with the 175th anniversary of St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia in 2026. The initiative was organized by Adventure Education along with school authorities.
And with that, we wrap up your news for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.